Everyone thinks he is a weak, pathetic loser because he can only appraise items, but he gets trained by the strongest sage in the world. Ein is a useless loser who serves as the luggage carrier for two adventurers. While the playboy swordsman and the TikTok thought wizard fight a giant monster rat, he just stays behind and waits for his chance. The adventurers finish the rat soon, and then tell Ein that it is his turn to find something valuable in the corpse. They treat him like because of his job class appraiser, and Ein can't even complain because he knows that they are right. In his world, a child is given a job class by the goddess of light at the birth, while the goddess of darkness gives them a skill. The skill can be evolved after hard work and experience, but the job class never changes. At the top of the list, there are the rare jobs like strategists and generals that only a few people get. Below them are the high common jobs that are mostly suited for combat. And at the bottom of the pyramid are the low common jobs like Ein's appraiser job. He thought he could make a fortune for himself by finding treasure during adventures, but he is just a lackey to the two adventurers now. He appraises the monster rat's body and learns that it is F rank, but its teeth are of D rank. He tries pulling them out, but he doesn't even lift, so he has no strength in his arms. He asks the swordsman Zord to help him with this, but the lashes out at him, telling him to do his job himself. He says that it is Ein's job to search the garbage for valuables, and if he can't do even that, he should not be in their party. He throws a stone at Ein's head, which makes him furious, but when the swordsman kicks him for staring at him, Ein acts like a cuck and apologizes. He has no choice but to tear apart the rat's corpse with his bare hands, while the two adventurers talk about him and his job class. They say that the only reason they allowed him to join their party is so that they didn't need to carry whole monster corpses to the guild to get them appraised, and he should be grateful to them for it. Ein knows that he has to keep working as an adventurer to get rich, so he swallows his frustration just like his uncle's yogurt. He keeps following Zord and the wizard girl Jeline, who suddenly find the corpse of a strong monster called the Hellhound. They think it is their lucky day because Hellhound parts can sell for a lot, and tell Ein to get to work immediately. He tells them that this setup seems suspicious because hellhounds are not even found on this floor, but they tell him to stop thinking about things above his pay scale. They push him to the corpse, and while he is dismantling it, they spot another corpse at a distance. They eagerly tell Ein to appraise it and take all the valuable parts from its body too. However, Ein panics because according to the map given to them by the guild, this section isn't safe. He tries to convince the swordsman that he is getting bad vibes about this whole deal, but the douchebag tells him to stop being a pussy if he wants to keep his job. He threatens to fire him without any pay if he quits now, and Ein has no choice but to follow him. Soon, they reach another part of the dungeon and hellhound corpses are just scattered around in front of them. Zord and Jeline think they walked in on a treasure trove, but only Ein realizes that they walked into a trap. He asks them to think about the situation carefully, because if it was an adventurer who killed these hellhounds, they would have taken the valuable materials already. Unfortunately, the small dick energy Zord can't understand logic, and he tells Ein to shut up. Suddenly, Ein points towards a horde of hellhounds coming towards them, and everyone freezes because of fear. Ein sees the blood on the jaws of the hellhounds and realizes that the dead hellhounds were victims of a gang war. The two adventurers shit their pants because they can't even defeat a single hellhound, and they can't even outrun them. Zord suddenly gets an idea and tells Jeline that they should use Ein as a decoy. Ein panics on hearing this, but he can't defend himself as attacks him with a paralyzing spell. Ein falls to the ground, unable to move a muscle, and the two assholes run away after taunting the hellhounds. Ein is completely delirious now, but as the hellhounds bite him, the pain brings him back to his senses and breaks the paralysis. He uses a rock to get the hellhounds away from him, and then throws the food inside his bag at them to keep them busy. He limps across the dungeon to escape, but to his horror, Zord and Jeline have blocked the exit. Luckily, there is another way nearby, but it leads him to a dead end as well. Just then, Ein hears the sound of the hellhounds coming towards him, and he realizes that he is going to die either way. He curses his useless job that made him suffer all his life, and thinks that if he didn't have the dream to be an adventurer, he would have lived a long, ordinary life. He realizes it is too late to regret things, and then decides to skydive from the cliff without a parachute because that would be less painful than being killed by the hellhounds. He dives off the cliff, thinking how he lived and died as a loser, and after falling for a long time, he finally hits the ground. He is fatally injured but not quite dead yet, and then suddenly, a pretty girl in a white dress appears before him. She glitches and keeps vanishing, then appearing as she walks towards him, and then kisses his forehead. Ein barely sees a glimpse of her before falling unconscious, and when he opens his eyes again, the girl is not there. However, all his injuries have been miraculously healed, and he finds that he is in a small pool at the base of a giant tree. Ein tries to analyze the water to see if he can drink it, and he is dumbfounded when he finds that this water is an S-rank item called Yggdrasil drops that can instantly cure any injury or disease. He then appraises the giant tree and finds that it is Yggdrasil, or the world tree, that produces an infinite amount of mana. Ein is astonished to learn that, because the only world tree known to them withered and vanished a long time ago. The world tree was the only source of mana for all people, but even after it vanished, they could still use mana. This made the scholars believe that there were other world trees, and they tried hard to find them but never found any success. Ein still can't believe that the world tree was hidden in such a deep part of the dungeon. He realizes that the tree saved his life, and he gently caresses it while thanking it. He hears a soft moan, but there is no one around, so he thinks it was just his mind playing tricks on him. He then decides to take his chances and explore the dungeon so that he can find a way to reach the surface. He turns to the tree and thanks it one more time before going, and the girl from before tries replying to him, but words don't come out of her mouth. Ein heads into the dungeon, thinking that this place must be really difficult to cross because even the guild has not reached so deep. He still keeps moving ahead because he has no other choice. He doesn't encounter any monster for a while and lets his guard down, and then suddenly, a swift attack cuts his ear off, turning him into Van Gogh. Ein panics, but before he can do anything, another swift strike cuts his fingers. He then finds an S-rank monster in front of him, who doesn't have much attack power, but his speed is extraordinary. The monster doesn't even give Ein the chance to run away as it launches rapid slashes on him. Ein tries to crawl to the tree again, and the monster almost stabs him, but then he stops. Ein looks back to see what is happening, and sees that the big daddy of all monsters is here to tear the monsters apart. The ferocious black bear kills the eyeball monster and then slashes Ein's face, partially blinding him. Ein screams in pain, and then the bear grabs him, squeezing him to break his bones. Ein is sure this is the end for him, but then suddenly, someone attacks the bear and kills it one strike. Ein can only see the small silhouette of the person who helped him, and hears them talk about how he came to help him only because someone special asked him to. Ein loses consciousness with that, and when he wakes up, he is at the base of the world tree again, completely healed, and with his injured eye replaced. Suddenly, he sees the girl in white in front of him, smiling at him while holding a cup of tea, and Ein is instantly smitten by her ethereal beauty. Ein can't stop staring at the girl, but then a loli appears next to him and tells him to stop getting any funny ideas about her daughter. Ein doesn't even understand what is happening and why this loli, who is flatter than my career graph, is calling the girl her daughter. The loli tells him to stop being rude to her daughter and drink the tea she specially brewed for him. She practically pours the tea down Ein's throat, and he finds that it is really delicious. He then learns that the loli is Ursula, the guardian of the world tree, and the pretty girl Yuri is not her real daughter. Ursula claims that she didn't even want to bother saving a lowly life form like a human, but since Yuri pleaded with her, she came to the dungeon and saved Ein from the bear. Ein is still stuck up on the part about Ursula being the guardian of the world tree, and she explains that there are 9 world trees in the world, and they have a guardian who looks after them and protects them from dangers. She then drops the bomb on Ein by telling him that Yuri is not a human, but the spirit of the world tree itself, and since Ursula has watched over her from the beginning, Yuri considers her as her mother. Ein remarks that Yuri is really pretty, and Ursula is not happy that he is hitting on her daughter. She threatens to gouge out his eye that she worked really hard on, and that reminds Ein that he was injured and blinded by the bear. Ursula tells him that the drops from the world tree healed him, but they couldn't repair his eye. However, Yuri wanted him to be able to see again and become even stronger, so Ursula created a special eye from him using the parts of the world tree itself. Ein is shocked to hear this and asks Yuri why she worries so much about him. She tells him that it is because he was kind enough to thank her, and Ursula elaborates on what she means. Even before Ein, other adventurers have fallen here, and though Yuri saved them all, none of them thanked her. Instead, some of them tore her branches after learning she was the world tree. That is why she considers the bare minimum kindness that Ein gave her as a great deal. Ein thanks her for saving his life twice and Yuri starts blushing. Ursula interrupts their moment and tells Ein to get out of their house now that he is healthy. But Yuri says that he will be in serious danger if he goes like this. She asks Ursula to help him and even starts crying. Ursula can't say no to her like this, so she decides to train Ein until he becomes strong enough to leave the dungeon on his own. Ursula immediately takes him into the dungeon, and Ein begins thinking that he won't survive the training. She takes him to a dark corridor and tells him to look ahead. Ein says that this place is darker than his future, and Ursula calls him a moron. She tells him that his left eye has the power of the world tree, and if he just focuses, he will be able to see more. Ein focuses on his left eye while thinking about Yuri, and then suddenly, he is able to see everything as clear as day. Ursula is pleased by this, and then throws a stone at a sleeping eyeball monster. The monster wakes up and starts rampaging around the room, and Ursula tells Ein that his first lesson is to dodge all the attacks from the monster using his appraisal skill. Ein tells her that the appraisal skill doesn't work like that, but Ursula is fed up with this idiot who gives up before even trying. She tells him that his spirit eye can use the appraisal skill differently, and he tries it on the eyeball monster and finds that it is going to target his right ear next. Ein is happy that he can read the movement of the monster, but that doesn't help him because the monster still reaches his ear and slashes it off. Ursula immediately puts up a barrier around them, and then heals Ein's ear with the world tree drops, telling him that she is going to heal him no matter how injured he is, which means there is no way he is going to leave the training incomplete. She removes the barrier and the eyeball monster attacks him again. Ein reads that it is going to attack his left leg, and then uses the appraise skill again to figure out the exact timing. Thanks to that, he dodges the attack, but as he excitedly tells Ursula about it, the monster attacks him from behind. She tells him to stop getting carried away just because he succeeded once, and he realizes she is right. He trains to dodge the monster's attack for 1 whole week, and now he can analyze the location and the timing of the attack at the same time. He is able to dodge all the attacks, but every time he gets cocky about this, the eyeball monster catches him off guard and attacks him. Ursula heals him as always, and then says that he has passed the first training, and now it is time for part 2. She tells him that he needs to defeat the eyeball bat now, and Ein says that his job class is not suitable for combat. Ursula tells him to stop being a whiny bitch, and then gives him a branch of the world tree that Yuri snapped herself so that he can use it as a weapon. She tells Ein to use it well and defeat the enemy with it. Ein takes up the challenge, thinking that since he can predict the movement of the monster now, he can easily strike it down. However, he finds that his swings are not fast enough to hit the bat monster. He asks Ursula to give him some tips, and she tells him to figure it out using the spirit eye. Ein decides to focus fully on the trajectory of the monster, and then suddenly, he is able to use an advanced version of his appraisal skill. When he uses the super appraise skill, he can see the trajectory of the monster in slow motion. He uses this chance to land a counterattack, and with just one hit, he smashes the monster into the ground. Ein is amazed by how strong he is now, but Ursula gives him a karate chop to the head and tells him to stop being overconfident with just this. She gives him his next task, which is to defeat all the eyeball bat monsters on this floor, and Ein manages to do it sooner than Ursula expected. She tells him that it is time for his next lesson now, and that involves appraising the abilities of the eyeball monster and making them his own. Ein says that is not even possible, but Ursula tells him that it is impossible for humans, but with the spirit eye, he can do it. Ein decides to try it, and after staring at the monster for a while, he suddenly obtains its super acceleration skill. His head feels like bursting because of all the new information, and then Ursula tells him to try the skill. Ein takes a crouching start and then runs like my dad after my birth, but his muscles rip apart because they are not meant to handle that level of stress. He falls to the ground, and Ursula heals him with the world tree drops. She tells him to keep running till he drops, and she will heal him. His muscles will become stronger each time, and by doing this hundreds of times, he will have a body that can endure anything. After a few days, his body becomes much stronger, and for his next lesson, Ursula tells him that she will let him appraise her skills even though she really doesn't want to. Ein asks her about the skill, and Ursula hits him with a fireball without warning. She tells him that the ability she is teaching him is to cast magic without chanting spells, and tells him to appraise her ability in the short time she shoots a fireball at him. Ein can't do it and gets roasted medium well instead, so Ursula just heals him and then shoots him again. After a while, Ein learns how to cast fireballs without chanting a spell, but he collapses quickly because he doesn't have enough mana. Luckily, the world tree drops from Yuri refill his mana quickly and even increase his mana capacity. Ein keeps up at his training for about half a month, and he is able to cast hundreds of fireballs at once and also use intermediate magic. Ursula tells him that he is finally strong enough to explore the dungeon on his own, but before that, she wants to conduct a final test. She takes him to fight a death bear, and Ein gets nervous because of his past trauma. Ursula tells him to be more confident because he has trained hard to become strong, and then pushes him in front of the bear. Ein shoots it with fireballs, but he is a stormtrooper at heart, and none of his attacks hit. Luckily, the smoke acts as a distraction, and Ein uses the super speed skill to reach behind the bear. It tries attacking him, but Ein uses the super appraisal skill to see things in slow motion, and then shoots a powerful wind spell at the bear. He then shoots fireballs at the bear without stopping, hitting some and missing some, but in the end, he manages to knock down the S-rank monster. He then appraises the death bear's abilities and absorbs the S+ rank skill Steel Cutter that gives extraordinary durability and piercing power to his attacks. While he is recovering from the headache after absorbing the skill, Ursula tells him that he has completed his training, and now he is ready to climb up the dungeon by himself. She then takes him back to the World Tree, and tells him to be grateful because she is going to give him a final gift before he goes. The gift is the remaining spirit core of the World Tree, and Ein says that he can't take it because it is really valuable. Ursula tells him that they are just loaning the power to him, because once he dies, the core will automatically return to the World Tree. She uses her magic power to fuse the spirit core with Ein's prosthetic eye, but he doesn't feel any difference. The old lowly tells him that it will take a moron like him a lot of time to understand the true power of the enhanced prosthetic eye. Ein then turns towards Yuri to thank her, but she is nowhere to be seen. He asks where is she, and Yuri replies to him from within his prosthetic eye before manifesting in her human form. Ein doesn't understand what is going on, so Ursula explains that since his eye has the spirit core of the World Tree, it is basically a replacement for the World Tree. That means Yuri can live inside it, and this way, she is going to be with him no matter where he goes. Yuri excitedly tells Ein that she will heal him from all injuries and diseases using her World Tree drops, and though he is grateful for that, he asks Ursula if it is fine for him to take the spirit of the World Tree with him. Ursula dropkicks him because she doesn't want to send Yuri with some random human, but she also wants the girl to explore the world and make some good friends. That is why she has decided to entrust her to Ein, because even though he is an idiot, he is a good person. Ein swears that he will take good care of Yuri, and Ursula tells him that he better do that. She then creates a glowing tattoo on his hand, which is the infinite storage spell. After that, she pulls out a spirit sword she created from the raw materials Yuri gave her and tells Ein to put it in his storage. Before he can do that, Ursula stabs his normal and then makes him swallow a magic stone so that it can replace his injured eye. Ein asks her what the hell did she just do, and she explains that his right eye is now replaced with the sage stone that will link their minds. Using that, they can communicate with each other anytime, and Ursula can watch everything Ein is seeing. She tells him that if she finds him getting too close to her daughter or beating it to her, she will find him and kill him. After that, Ein asks Yuri if she has any special plans once they reach the surface, and she says that she wants to meet her sisters. Ursula explains that originally there was just one giant world tree, but it got separated into 9 parts, and Yuri is just one of them. The rest of the world trees are her sisters, and Ein promises that they will travel all over the world to meet them. With that, he finally starts his journey, and Ursula keeps telling him about which route to take and which monsters he will face. Ein finds that defeating S-rank monsters is much easier now, and he doesn't even get a headache on absorbing their abilities because Yuri heals it instantly. Soon, he reaches the boss room, and Ursula tells him that unless he defeats the boss, the path to other floors won't open. Ein is not sure about it because the boss monster is going to be much stronger than anything else he has faced. But Yuri and Ursula tell him to have faith in himself. Motivated by their words, Ein enters the boss room and finds the dungeon core in front of him. Suddenly, a summoning circle appears on the ground, and from that emerges a giant stone golem. Ein tells Yuri to get back inside his eye, and then rushes towards the golem. He avoids the first attack easily, but then the golem throws a powerful punch at him. Ein uses another one of his acquired skills to turn his hands as hard as steel, but the effect of the punch rips apart his leg muscles. Yuri heals him on the spot, And then he uses the dissolving poison skill he got from killing a giant snake to melt the golem's hand. That makes the golem really furious, and it begins to recklessly attack Ein, who somehow escapes from its rampage and hides behind some rocks. He realizes that he can't get close to the golem now, but then Ursula tells him to use the ultimate spell she taught him because he has enough mana for that now. Ein decides to act on her advice and immediately uses the ultimate magic Nova Strike on the golem, hitting it with the power of a meteorite and melting its body. He can't believe that he can do this now, and then Yuri comes outside his body and starts healing him. Ein holds her hands as he thanks her, and Yuri starts blushing. That doesn't sit well with Ursula, who tells him to focus on appraising the golem's remains. Ein appraises the golem's body and gets some high-level defensive and offensive abilities. Ursula tells him that he can also appraise the dungeon core, and Ein is not certain if that will be safe. Just then, Ursula teleports near him and appraises the dungeon core for him. She finds that it is similar to the spirit core of the world tree, and uses it to strengthen Ein's prosthetic eye. She tells him that he can defeat more dungeon bosses and use the core to improve the power of his spirit eye, and that will make him even stronger. With that, the three of them exit the boss room, and the doors close after them. Ursula says that since the dungeon core has vanished, the dungeon is effectively sealed off now. That means the path to the world tree has been shut down, and even the hole through with Ein fell must have been sealed. She says that now no one can reach the world tree, and that means she doesn't have to stay behind to protect it. She decides to come along with Yuri and Ein, and soon they reach the surface. Meanwhile, in a bar in the city, the swordsman Zord is out drinking with some fellow adventurers. He tells them the story of how his party was surrounded by hellhounds in the dungeon, and they didn't think they would make it out alive. But then he twists the facts and says that it was Ein who decided to sacrifice himself to save others. He begins acting like he is deeply grateful to Ein to get some sympathy from other adventurers. But as he sees Ein standing behind him, he spits out his drink. Zord asks him how the hell is he still alive, and when Ein tells him that he simply defeated the monsters, he refuses to believe that. The other adventurers tell Zord that he should be happy because his savior is alive, but Ein tells them that he was lying just now. He reveals that Zord and Jalene paralyzed him with magic and left him to die at the hands of the monsters. This makes all the adventurers furious, and they start throwing anything they can grab at Zord. However, Ein stops them, because despite everything, Zord was the only person who took him in his party. He thanks the asshole for everything and then walks away, surprising everyone in the inn because his personality has done a 180. After that, Ein, Yuri, and Ursula begin to explore different dungeons, defeating the boss monsters and absorbing the dungeon core. They keep looking for the world tree inside those dungeons, but even after a couple months, they can't find anything. As they are returning from one such dungeon trip, they hear some screams and immediately rush to the scene to find some monsters attacking a carriage. Ein quickly kills the monsters and absorbs their abilities, while Yuri and Ursula heal the injured soldiers. Ein then goes to check on a pink-haired girl in the carriage, who falls in love with him at first sight and clings to him, calling him the hero. Ein is confused and embarrassed by this, but then he learns that the girl is Claudia, the third princess of the kingdom, and the man with her is Jasper, the leader of the merchant guild. The princess invites Ein and his group to her palace to thank them, and after that, she gets ready to pounce on him. However, Yuri gets in between them and declares that she is Ein's wife. Ein is shocked to hear that, but the greater shock comes when Claudia casually says that she is happy to become his second wife. As the two girls fight over that topic, the merchant Jasper comes to Ein and says that he should marry him instead. Ein freaks out at this because he never thought he would be equally attractive to men and women, but Jasper says that he has some special reason for that. He then leads Ein and others to his treasury, explaining that he likes to collect valuable gemstones, and Ein's left eye is a spirit core, the most valuable of them all. Ein is shocked to learn that Jasper has found out his secret, and then the merchant tells him the legend about the original world tree exhausting all its power to seal the demon lord and then vanishing from the earth. He says that he has been looking for its spirit core for years, and now that he has found it, he wants to keep it with him forever. Ein wants to refuse him because he is straighter than a ruler, but Ursula tells him that Jasper has money and also information about the world tree, so he can use his help to find other world trees. Ein reluctantly agrees to get close to him, but says that they will only be friends in the beginning. Jasper has no problem with that, and he tells Ein that one day he will surely be a proud member of his harem. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and watch the video on your screen next.